Hey, everybody, and welcome to You'll Probably Agree. And hey, guess what came out today? Or was it yesterday now? Yeah, Dune.
Yesterday.
Yeah, not the David Lynch version, which, as David Lynch has described it, you die the death, and the death you shall die. But this one is, in my opinion, miraculous achievement where Dune should work as a television series, and they did do one, I think, in 2003 with the Sci-Fi Channel, with
Yes.
William Hurt. Yeah,
Yeah, and that was actually pretty good. The Dune 2000 and then the Dune Children of Dune follow up. Pretty solid
Yeah.
for the time, actually.
No,
That's what I
no,
heard.
no match for Lynch's Dune.
Oh, we'll get to that. And yeah, so this is like the first time I've seen like a filmmaker really tackle the material where, because the thing was, I didn't see the sci-fi movie because I get, I'll be honest, I'm a snob. I get thrown off by, budgeted special effects.
Oh, and
So-
it's like 3 or 4 miniseries. It's a lot of time. Like they take their time with it. They do drag out some stuff, but they do tell the complete, well, as much of the complete story as you can.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
then
that was what's good about the Sci-Fi Channel stuff. They had more time to get into things.
Yep.
well, the nice thing about television is the writer's medium, and Dune is a book made by a writer, so you're able to cover all of that material. With the Villeneuve film that we're talking about, that movie does something very unique with this structure, and it was something that I think Denis Villeneuve might start to have a Christopher Nolan like following, where he will be like the messiah for some people until he makes a stinker like Tenant, But with this film, I really enjoyed the methodical pace to it. I know that there's been a point of criticism where a lot of people have said that it's sort of emotionally dry like a desert. But considering they had a 2.5 hour movie which is part one, it literally says part one on the screen, and Warner Brothers has all but confirmed that there's going to be a part two.
God, I hope so.
Yeah, they pretty much have kind of confirmed that, because they're also doing a prequel series on the Bennett Jesuit, who is played absolutely phenomenally by Charlotte Rampling in this film. This one, though, I really enjoyed. This one made me get it when I watched Dune. This one made me get why people really like this book.
Have you read the book?
No, I've never read the book.
Good book.
Yeah, well, that's what I hear. But yeah, I never read the book, so I came in fresh. I felt like if I read the book before I saw the movie, I would probably not like the movie, because I'm going, where's this? Where's that? Just like anytime you read a book to see the movie. But here, the nice thing about this film is that it kind of lets you fill in the blanks. They'll explain a little bit about something, but it'll either be like when they're doing the sand walk, it was through like the instructional video that Timothée Chalamet, who plays Paul Atreides, is watching in it, or if there's a sort of political exchange, we'll actually just see the exchange go down rather than people talking about it. And the thing that really made this Dune work for me more than the other one are two things. One, it doesn't feel like an exposition dump, although it kind of is, but it doesn't feel like one. And the other thing was the original is very, I don't know if the 80s was the right time to make that movie, because it just feels silly. Like, I was watching the 3-hour cut last night. I saw about like 48 minutes of it. And even then, I'm just like, this is like a YouTube fan edit, by the way, that's on there. It's like take like all the scenes that were aired on television that weren't in the movie, and they put it together with everything else. And even then, with everything that's explained to me, I got more confused the more they try to explain. And here they're doing less. And because they're doing less, like, yeah, I'm not emotionally gripped on everyone, but I care enough to see where it goes. And if I'm correct, and this isn't a spoiler, this is an old book here, Frank Herbert said that basically Paul Atreides ends up creating a war and becoming a tyrant, because most like how most other leaders do. they leaders are human beings who make mistakes, and when human beings make mistakes, they have a following of people who do that, and that leads to immeasurable consequences. So as I saw this movie, I want to see where that part of the story comes in. But I mean, cinematically, it is just, I don't think you could ask for anything more. And really, for an adaptation, like maybe if you're not feeling everything, that might have to do more with the material than it does with the movie. I'm not sure, but I feel like this is an exciting step, and I was a huge fan of Blade Runner 2049, and I'm a big fan of this. What do you guys think?
What's the other guy's name?
Oh,
John,
this is
hi.
the John
Hey, John,
Davies.
how's it going?
So let me introduce you guys. I should have done that, but we
Hi,
got
Mike.
Sujewa. Yeah. Hey
15-minute
guys,
exposition.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm giving my own exposition right now.
That's right.
I got Sujewa Ekanayake from the Secret Society of Slow Romance.
Yeah, I got a little poster on the back.
Helps me read it. Yeah. But no, I think are you in post-production now, or are you finished the
No,
movie?
I'm sending it out to festivals, setting up distribution, and getting some reviews in. Got 2 positive reviews, and
nice.
couple more on the way.
There you go, man. There you go. Get that
Setting up
hustle in.
setting up release for next year.
Nice. And then we have John Davies from Cinema Obscura.
Let me say one thing. In all the film festivals and art house theaters of the known universe.
Oh, the known universe. This one
right.
and the one in Dune.
Right. That's the phrase they use in the Dune world. The emperor of the known universe.
And it's a good thing I have you guys both on here, because I'm not entirely familiar with the material beyond the
2 movies.
84 film. Yeah, the 2 movies, or technically 3. But John Davies, he runs a place. You run a place called Cinema Obscura. They basically, you want to talk a little bit about that? I think people send you. Well, I know what they do. They send you
Sure.
movies from everywhere, all over the world, and you put
Yeah,
it on TV.
initially we started as a group to get independent filmmakers together and know about each other, specifically in Chicago, because that's where I am. But yeah, now we've morphed, in the after times. That was the before times. In the after times, now we're lucky enough to have a television show on public access here in Chicago. Can TV lets us get away with an hour of independent film every week, which is pretty awesome. Monday nights at 11 p.m. on their channel 19. And really, yeah, it's a collection of independent film from all over the world. Mostly Chicago stuff, but we do have stuff from Indonesia, Canada, Mexico, Australia, Iceland, where else? Norway. We're worldwide. It's pretty awesome.
That's great.
Excellent.
So now that we got into that, I know, John, what you thought of Dune. We were talking last night, and we were both just kind of over the floor about it. Sujewa, as one of the men who bravely defends the David Lynch film, and there's certainly some good parts in it. What was your take on Dune 2021?
So
2049.
Got it. So the 3 items: the book, the Lynch movie, and the Villeneuve movie from 2021, are 3 very different things. And I'll leave the sci-fi shows out because of the budget and the format, because TV, long form TV, they can do different things. It's its own thing. But the books are amazing. They're books. They cover lots of things and in great detail. So when you translate that into a movie, I think the best you can get is try to capture the feeling that you get from the book. Feelings. So Dune is like this rich tapestry, magical, bizarre, violent, and takes place in the future. So all that kind of stuff, experience-wise, came to me better through Lynch's Dune, and it's one single story, one single movie, 2-3 hours, depending on the cut. So the bizarre futuristic, otherworldly, magical quality of it came through to me better in Lynch's Dune. In DV's new movie, it's a modern, really well done sci-fi action movie, but I feel like it's missing a lot of the magic that Lynch's Dune had. But I think this new one is going to be popular, and it's probably going to launch in a whole bunch of shows, movies, and yeah, they all work differently. I enjoyed the new one. I thought it was, well, I was disappointed that the script didn't really go into any new places, hardly ever. The script felt like it was right out of David Lynch's Dune, but done differently. It would have been interesting if he had told the story in a completely different way, using the book, but not using David Lynch's script or David Lynch's movie. Those are my general thoughts. But yeah, technically, it's a really well done, well acted movie, this new one.
Yeah. John, what do you think?
I agree with him on a lot of points. I'm also a huge fan of the Lynch version. I'm 47, so I grew up watching that one, and I just, I kind of had my hopes up with this because, Denis Villeneuve, I murdered his name, my bad.
Denis Villeneuve. It's okay. I did the same thing.
The amazing director.
Yeah. I call him DV.
Yeah, but the amazing director, has such a solid track record up until this point. I had my hopes up, and he nailed them at every step. It was solid. And the one thing I do have to say about Lynch's Dune is that he did what he does with all of his movies, and he just hits the gas pedal, and he just gets you from one insane scene in Dune specifically to the next insane scene, and it's just rapid fire, bam, 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 and you have no time. If you come in dry, if you don't know the story, obviously if you know the books, you're going to be like, oh yeah, this is cool, I get it, I know what's going on. But if you go in dry, like that movie is just like way over your head, especially if you're not really paying attention to the introduction, the 7-8 minute introduction in the beginning of that movie. If you're not paying attention to that, you have no idea what's going on with the houses or the time traveling or the space traveling, what is happening with that. And, this movie, slows down the pace. I'm glad that they split it into two halves. It slows it down to where it makes so much more sense. And, it's like, what is a hunter seeker? Like that scene specifically jumps out at me in Lynch's Dune. It's like, it's a 5-minute sequence, but you're so fast into the next one. And this movie is like, okay, yeah, like it's also a 5-minute sequence, but it's like they kind of explain it a little bit more. And they do that throughout the entire movie. They just explain stuff a little bit more and let stuff sink in instead of just have craziness after craziness after craziness happen, which, I love in the original Dune.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with the original. Like you see the original, like this whole intro just goes on for, this is 3.5 minutes of information.
And that's that's the short one.
Yeah, that's a short one.
There's a long version of that. Which explains it more and makes the rest of the movie make so much more sense, but they don't need that with this one. This one just takes its time. And
I was thinking ideally Dune would be like an HBO miniseries or a series with like 5 seasons, and the first 2.5 seasons should just be the lead up to Paul's life, covering that universe, because there's so much going on. Yeah. Right before Paul comes into the stage that he's reacting to, that someone who's going in cold just has no idea, like John said.
Now that's what I was curious about. Like when you read the book, like at what point do these movies happen? Right. Is there like a whole backstory to Paul before we get to him learning how to do the voice with his mother and all that?
There's a whole lot of stuff, and John could add to this. There's the mentats, human computers. There's why spice is needed for space travel. There's the jihad against the robots. There is the Bene Gesserit order, what they've been doing for thousands of years. There's like thousands of years of history before Paul becomes born. And the point of Paul is he's the He's the result of a generations-long breeding program that kind of went off course, and he kind of became, came into being earlier than the Bene Gesserits, however you pronounce their name, expected. So this creates a big problem for all the forces in the universe, as you saw in Lynch's Dune, right, John?
Yeah. Yes. Agreed.
Yeah. So okay, so that clears it up a little bit because everyone's saying, "Oh, this is in the book. That's in the book." I'm like, how? Well, first off, the book, it's like a Bible, isn't it? Isn't it like
Book is
1,000
huge.
pages?
Well, there are
Yeah.
multiple books. There's a lot of books. The story that they're telling right now is one book, but yeah, there's a huge story around. It's kind of like Star Wars or Game of Thrones. Like there's a lot going on in this universe, and we're just seeing like the eye of the needle, basically.
Mm-hmm. We're
Which is-
seeing one simple story from the first book.
Yeah.
But the book is so huge; it has hours and hours of material that would be in a film if it was literally to be translated. You definitely need to set up this universe through at least a couple of hours of storytelling for the film medium.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is you said, it felt like it was retelling the David Lynch film, but stylistically it was much different. It was more brooding. It wasn't quite as funny.
It was more simplified.
Yeah,
And also on the downside, it felt less sensual, less romantic, less magical.
Yeah, because even with half of the story, you still kind of have to rush through it a little bit. Like there's a lot of information in this first book, or the first glimpse that we're getting into Dune through Denis' work. And yeah, this easily could have been a 4-hour first half, easily.
yeah.
This is like
with the
Right.
studio.
It would work. Yeah, it would work as a Netflix show or an HBO show or an Amazon show.
Yeah. And the thing is, they don't have that kind of budget in their television to really make it shine. Because the whole idea of Dune is sort of the spectacle, and this movie is cinematic, emotional manipulation and spectacle. And cinema is about emotional manipulation. If you want something like facts, go read a New York Times article.
Go to a library.
Yeah, go to a library like the one the Bene Gesserit tests pollen. Maybe some lady can hold like a little needle up to your neck. But the thing is, like, when I'm watching this, I think there's like a lot of heart in the Lynch version that maybe isn't here. Like it feels so sort of like brooding and serious that you feel like you're almost like, I could see how with some people they feel like watching paint dry. With me, I love movies with atmosphere. That's sort of like my vice. Everyone has their vice. Like Roger Ebert loved movies about diversity, which is probably the best vice you could have. And I know guys who I know a guy who loves Ridley Scott. I know Johnny Lang, who comes on the show a lot. He is obsessed with David Lynch, utterly obsessed.
Since you mentioned Ridley Scott, can you imagine if Denis got a chance to make an Alien film? Can you imagine how amazing that would have been, and how much of a letdown Covenant now is that you look back on it? Like we got that instead of this guy's version of an Alien film. Like that, Covenant was lacking everything that Dune had. Like that movie was just one dude on a planet doing stuff by himself. Like who cares? Seriously. Like if it had just a tiny little bit of stuff from this dude's imagination in the Alien universe, oh my goodness. But anyway,
I think it all depends on the script. Denis Villeneuve was.
It does, but now.
Go ahead. Did he cut off?
Oh, I think we lost John. I think he got sucked up in the sand.
That's right. All right, so I'll say what I was going to say, which is Denis Villeneuve is a very stylistic, competent director. But I think his best movie I saw was Arrival. And
I'm back. Okay, I don't know what happened.
We lost you for a second.
My internet's tripping. Sorry.
Okay. Anyway, as I was saying, I think Denis Villeneuve is a very competent and very stylistic director. the best movie I saw from him was Arrival, and that was based on a book, and that really had both the sci-fi awe and also the humanistic, the real world human element.
Yeah, I feel
in a
the
good
same way
combination.
about. I feel the same way about Annihilation. Just everything that he's made has been fantastic. Everything.
Yeah,
District 9, all of it,
yeah.
everything that he's laid his hands on. So the fact that he didn't get an Alien movie is, it's like blowing my mind that they didn't give him a chance.
I think
I also think
I think this Dune this Dune would have been better with a better script.
I mean, I think they did with what they could for 2.5 hours.
Oh
with this
no, they
film.
could have done a whole lot more.
Yes.
This movie basically reenacts Lynch's movie, but does it a little bit better visually.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering, like, what would you replace in the script if you had 2.5 hours? What would you say we could do this and focus on this instead of that with the story?
I would, well, I mean, if I were making this movie, I would make it completely from the Fremen perspective. I would make Stilgar the leader. He's fighting against the Harkonnens, not winning. Then this kid comes from the outside world who belongs to the aristocracy of that universe. And he says, all right, if I can win with my own team, we're going to recruit this boy into our jihad. And that the case could be made that both Stilgar and Paul are using each other for their own, political ends, just as Paul is using the Fremen for his politics.
Yeah. Now that would be an interesting angle to go, because the one thing that it's hard for me to embrace at this film is that, the main character is this white kid from royalty. And when I'm watching that, I'm like, this isn't really compelling drama, but I guess that's the book. So, whatever, I'll go with it. And in that aspect of wars, but yeah, if we could have seen the Fremen's perspective, I hope I'm saying, yeah, because like
that would have been very interesting. That would have been very interesting.
Yeah,
but
that's the natives of the land rather than. I just hope that the only thing that bothers me is, like, I think when we were texting about this, I'm like, yeah, like he's the white savior, which I guess it was written like that in the book, but I was still just kind of.
We don't even know if white identity or any racial identity exists in this. The story takes place in 10,000 years in the future. John, do you recall if these people are white in the book?
No, they've just always been adapted as such. I don't.
Yeah.
If so that's said, they could have cast someone other than like someone who looks like me, because like it's just like I just have flashbacks of Avatar when I think of that.
Yeah, in the future they could have non-white looking people in the lead roles, but because of the economics and politics and audience preferences of our time, we have white leads. But white identity doesn't really exist in the future, nor does black identity in as far as I recall in the Dune books. Those are 20th century politics.
Yeah, exactly. Because these guys, as you said, they're how many years in the future are they? Like thousands?
10,000.
10,000. Wow.
8,000 years from now.
And we're not. Yeah, well, they're no longer on Earth because we're dead now. We got 50 years left, and that's it.
The Earth is not really a big deal. Although some of the ideas in the Dune universe came from it.
Yeah, we've been destroyed by Cylons. That happened a long time ago.
That's
at this point.
But on the flip side, in Earth history, we do have people from the ruling class becoming revolutionaries, and it's succeeding. Moses, and on a nonviolent level, the Buddha. What does that sound? We're good?
Yeah,
that wasn't me.
Some sort of a water sound. All right.
I thought there was a marching band in the background.
And anyway, yes, also this is kind of based on Lawrence of Arabia, who was a white soldier who went into during World War One. Or was it World War II?
Was it? I think it was World War One.
World War One, who organized some of the Arab tribes into helping the British fight the Germans, or something like that. So it's based on real world stuff to some degree.
Yeah, well, there was a lot of political and religious implications, which I was watching an interview with Frank Herbert, and he said like it's not really tied to any party or viewpoint, but his point was is that, you know, leaders make mistakes, and when they make mistakes, everyone feels the repercussions of that.
Yeah,
That
a lot
was
of people die.
Yeah, a lot of people die. And the thing is that, and that's true. There are plenty of great leaders who have done things that maybe morally aren't the greatest decisions, but you know, they get remembered for that rather than the good that they've done. And I think that's sort of the point of Dune. I hope that's part two. I really hope. Like, what did he mean by like he's gonna become? Because I know like Paul had flashes in the film where he was saying, I'm leading people to war, and oh my God, there's death everywhere, when he's in the tent with his mom and he's crying. Are we gonna see that in part two?
Probably not. Probably not. I think that's too much. I think that's after part two. What he was talking about is Paul becomes a godlike figure, and his movement becomes a big jihad where the Fremen and other Aristides forces spread out through the galaxy. I don't know who they're killing. Who are they killing, John? Do you recall?
No, I don't remember. You got me on that one.
Yeah, but it becomes after the main story, after Paul comes into power, it becomes a big problem for the rest of the universe for thousands of years.
Oh, so is that Children of Dune, or is that part
Children
of
of Dune, the God
Yeah.
Emperor of Dune, all that stuff.
Yeah,
But
so
that ends after one point, and I think does Paul become a sandworm, or is it one of his sons?
It was, I think it was, well, the way that they ended it, and I didn't read the book, so I'm going what they did in the series. But one of his sons ended up becoming Arrakis.
Yeah.
And was a sentient planet and went throughout the universe to heal it.
Whoa, no. I think prior to that, one of his sons becomes turns into a sandworm. Body, with the mind of the body, with the head and mind of the human, but he grows a sandworm body. God Emperor of Dune. God Emperor of Dune.
This is all fascinating. These are all fascinating things that I'm guessing HBO might set up if they're doing the Bene Gesserit series, and they already, like they're setting up a whole franchise. Which, I mean, that's a smart way to go. Hopefully, they don't handle it the way they did DC. I don't think they would. I mean, one thing I liked about this film is that it's basically the antithesis of something like a Disney film, and I love the Marvel movies. You know,
this is better.
Yeah, because this is a singular vision from someone where you couldn't get that with a Disney movie. You have to follow the blueprints of what style is. The movie has to be shot this way, and it has to be edited this way, and it has to have these kind of jokes. Here, you're seeing a fan's vision of Dune. Like, this is like a Dune fan film, it seems like, but in the best possible way. I mean, some of the shots in this movie is fantastic. The one scene that I absolutely love, I want to pull up the clip, but I won't for copyright reasons.
And also, this is real people. They can die. In Marvel movies, those characters don't die.
No, they're around forever and ever. Oh God, I am gonna put my hands over my head when they bring Iron Man back to life. Yeah, when Iron Man comes, I'm gonna be like, why? He's dead. He came out. He went out in an honorable way. Leave him dead. You know, leave him at peace, as they would say.
Comic book characters, they have to live forever.
Exactly. It's a franchise. Franchise it, as Michael Keaton said in The Founder.
That McDonald's movie.
Yeah.
No, so this being real people who can die makes it a different type of a story, different type of sci-fi.
There's higher stakes involved, I would say, because you don't know who's gonna get killed. Like, you figure Paul's gonna live throughout the whole thing, and I'm gonna guess the second movie will be Paul reclaiming the kingdom after it's been taken over by the House Harkonnen. If people are like, oh, spoilers, it's like, dude, it's a 40-year-old, 50-year-old book. I don't know how much.
It's like a 60-year-old book and a 40-year-old movie.
And you can't spoil a movie that hasn't been made yet, so we're good.
Yeah. Exactly.
But you saw the full Lynch movie, right, Mike?
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
Okay.
2 times, maybe 3 times.
Not
I think
enough.
3 times.
So I think the new movies will just tell that story. That's what it looks
Yeah.
like.
I think so
agree.
too. It tells it, but this movie is a prime example of how style and tone works. You know, because the Lynch film feels kind of like funny and it kind of has that Twin Peaky hokey feeling. Maybe because Agent Dale Cooper, played by Kyle MacLachlan, plays Paul Atreides in it, but also like it just kind of like when you had people like holding like little pug dogs, and I have trouble buying Jean-Luc Picard as what was Josh Brolin's role in that movie as
Gurney.
as Gurney, as this
I thought he
great
did a good job.
warrior.
I think he did a good job.
Well, I love Picard in that role. I love him in that role.
Yeah,
I love
Picard is
him.
always a good actor, so he'll bring anything to life.
I love Patrick Stewart. I just felt like this guy wouldn't win in a fight. He's like, he doesn't have any muscle on him. Where you see Josh Brolin, you're like, yeah, that guy would definitely teach Paul what to do. And here's the thing I got with this movie. I actually got who was who and what was what. I'm like, oh, that's who that. Oh, that's who that is.
It's simplified in the new version, right?
Yeah. And
it's just a little bit slower. They take their time and they explain stuff and let the last scene sink in. I mean, like I said earlier, that Lynch version is fantastic, but it's just one insane season or one insane scene after another.
Yeah.
You know, through the lens of his eye, and it's just like, okay, there's a bunch of crazy stuff. You know, people being weird just to be weird. It's like, I get it, it's a Lynch movie, but it was way over the top in a lot of ways. That could have been brought back to earth, but that's a lot of the charm of that movie is how crazy it is.
Yeah, that's why I like that one as more overall as a better experience that relates to Dune. But this new movie, you could introduce it to someone who's never read the book, and they can stick with it. And it's a more of a modern style that's kind of like slow cinema, but realism and sci-fi mixed in with the good acting that makes sense to most people.
It's slow cinema. If slow cinema was kind of like shot in the most gorgeous, amazing way possible, a
lot of slow cinema is like that. I don't think you've seen enough to see.
Probably not.
Yeah, a lot of like Norte, The End of History by Lav Diaz. It's an 8-hour-long movie, beautifully shot in color.
Wow,
it's a retelling of A Crime and Punishment.
When I have 8 hours to spare,
I'll send you a trailer.
You'll keep asking me, have you seen it yet? I'll be like, no.
I'll send you a trailer. But
the trailer's 2.5 hours long, so
yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah.
No, Denis Villeneuve essentially makes sci-fi slow cinema.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect way to sum them up.
But with a lot of great skill.
Yeah. The one thing I had with Arrival that kind of annoyed me was that movie was really reliant on news beats. It was like, oh, and then going on today, the aliens are back. And I'm like, dude, I just want to see the characters. Stop cutting to the news. That's lazy. But
it brought in the wider world into the story. Also, that might be a device in the book. I didn't know the book.
It was all about language too, so it had to bring in the rest of the world.
Sure.
They had to do that.
That makes sense.
Yeah, well, it makes. Yeah, I mean, I'd see it again. I mean, also when I initially saw it, that was back in my drinking days, so I didn't remember much of it.
Dramatically, I was riveted. That was a great movie. It was, I would say, compared to Lynch's Dune and Denis Villeneuve's Dune and Arrival, I would go with Arrival for cinematic, dramatic experience. But Denis Villeneuve's Dune for just overall sci-fi, space action, simple story that you can really get into.
And the sound design, I got to talk a little bit about the sound design of that movie. This is a film you have to see in a theater. If
the new one?
Yeah. Because I mean, this is the most Hans has ever zimmered in a Hans.
I knew you were gonna say that. That's awesome.
The music was great. The music was great.
I've been listening to it like nonstop in my car. I keep playing the track Leaving Caledon, like whenever I'm just going anywhere. This is because Hans Zimmer always wanted to play this or compose this film, and you could tell. I mean, they put in everything. They put in like how many instruments? You have chanters,
bagpipes, bro.
Bagpipes.
That's right.
It's
Effing
like
bagpipes.
that came out of nowhere in the first half a second. You're like, what are they doing? And then 7.75 seconds into it, you're like, yes.
Yeah, and they're also bringing in throat singers.
Mhm.
And I mean, my favorite shot in that whole movie is when the Bene Gesserit is taking off in her ship, and then they kick up the chanters going da, 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 and then like the fucking like right when they're done, you just hear like a big boom sound. The ship takes off. I'm just like, fuck! I just came after I saw that.
Listen, was Timothée Chalamet the best choice for the lead?
I'm glad you brought that up.
I don't think so. I think he did okay. I think they could have used someone else.
I'm partially there with you. I feel like Timothée Chalamet, he is a lot like Ryan Gosling in Blade Runner 2049, where he serves the exact purpose of the script. Like Agent K, spoilers, he is a replicant. So who better to play an emotionless replicant than Ryan Gosling? Timothée Chalamet is Paul Atreides. Paul is a man who is wiser beyond everyone. And Timothée Chalamet went to NYU and Columbia University in real life. And if you see him in any interview, he sounds a million times smarter than the common 25-year-old kid, and even way before that.
Maybe in the second part, when Paul becomes the leader.
That's what I'm thinking. Like we're literally going to see him grow up on stage between the two movies, and it will be a huge transformation. I'm thinking.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And
maybe nothing like anything Chalamet's done before.
Because I mean, it's that first scene with him. He's just so boyish, and you just have that scene with you the whole movie, and you're just like, this is just a tiny little kid. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, cool. He stares down the Bene Gesserit witch when he's got his hand in the box, and like he makes a couple of cool looks, and like, okay, maybe he's growing up a little bit, but next movie, fast forward 2 steps in the desert, we're gonna see a different dude, I think.
Yeah, he kills a man at the end of this first one, and
after that, he's a grown up.
Yeah,
he's a big boy now.
Yeah.
Same thing with film criticism. You have to kill a film critic to become to get into the ranks. Mike is almost there.
Oh man, I mean, I know one critic we all hate that we love to collectively kill, but
soon the initiation ritual is coming, Mike.
Yeah, we're gonna have like I won't have the shields, but we'll have the blade. I wonder how many
you have to fight using pens.
We have to fight using pens with our where is my there it is.
Pens and laptops.
I'll kill them with my Rotten Tomatoes thing. I'll be like, come here, your words suck. Yeah. But no, but I mean, I have to say, I know I probably like this movie more than I should because there are clear flaws, but I can like look past them just because
it's a well done movie. Hard to argue with.
It's how can you complain when a movie's this well directed? And this
I think we like it. Like I think we like it more than we should because we were extremely disappointed by 9 hours of Disney sci-fi extremely recently. So we were all looking forward to this, and we're like, "Oh man, it's going to be awesome." And I mean, it is awesome. It is. It is awesome. It is different and the same because we've seen the Lynch version. Some of us know the story. Blah blah blah.
And the Lynch version was so long ago. The technology and Lynch style is maybe not the best for the modern world for this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
it's
like when they're
dated.
using the shields, it looks like something from Tron. They have like they're like blocks. And when I was watching the fan version, I'm like, all right, did somebody adjust it or was it really that bad?
No, it was that bad.
Yeah, and I can't fault them for it.
I like the blocks.
No,
that's the cool thing about about the Lynch thing, Lynch movie. There are some unique touches that are so Lynch. And so that movie, they're enjoyable. The blocks are great. It's like they're fighting in Jello.
Or what was the talking gigantic vagina mouth in the beginning of the film?
That's the Guild Navigator.
And he had the blue eyes like
he used to be a human thousands
of years ago.
The Fremens, yeah. Yeah, he consumed the spice to help navigate. See, this is the nerdy details you miss when you don't read the book.
Yeah, I know. I'm not literate. No,
Read the book.
I
If you end up
spend my
in-
time reading 3 books about Donald Trump instead.
Listen, when you end up in jail for killing a film critic as a part of the initiation ritual,
Oh, there you go.
read all the Dune books.
They'll never catch me. I'm in the film industry. I know how to make it look like an accident.
No, you gotta spend time in jail to be considered a real film critic.
Oh Jesus! I don't think I know any critics who've gone to jail yet.
No, everyone's done it. All the big ones have done it. They've killed a critic and they spent some time in jail for it.
I have been in handcuffs before, so
Good. Film criticism is a life in crime.
It is. We're, as Werner Herzog said, we are pirates. We steal the loot.
That's right.
That's what
So
we do.
how about Javier Bardem? I thought he did a great job.
He was probably, outside of Charlotte Rampling, he was probably my favorite performance. Like, you really bought him as a native. I didn't even know it was him initially.
What do you think, John? Did you like him?
I love the cast all throughout, honestly. It was a lot of big name people and a lot of people that I honestly am kind of sick of seeing, but the way that they were dispersed throughout, it was pretty solid.
Oscar Isaac's an amazing actor, but he's like in everything,
Yeah.
Yeah, Javier Bardem really sunk into the role, and you could, with the other people, you could be like, oh yeah, it's this movie star acting as this character. I thought Javier Bardem's character, Stilgar, he did it really well. He really sunk into the role, and that could be a separate show. We could just have a Stilgar show.
Well, and I'm really excited to see him grow with Paul in the part 2 also. Like he's so much more prevalent in the second part, and we were just teased with him in this.
Well, they're gonna ride the sandworm together. I didn't notice till the second time I saw it. Someone was riding a sandworm at the end of the film. I'm like, oh, they did do that. So that as Denis Villeneuve has said, this is an appetizer for part 2. So part 2 is like when like shit's gonna hit the fan, probably, hopefully. I mean, it kind of did the second half of the movie, but
yeah. Well, the 1950s, 60s, when the movie was written, when the book was written, was a different time period. But it's funny that they use the sandworm, which is very phallic. It's like giant penises in the sand.
That's how you show that strength. It's a big dick energy. but yeah, I mean, overall,
so I would like to see sort of a sexual criticism, sort of a sexual unpacking of this of the story that was written in the 50s or 60s.
Bring on the spice orgies.
That's right.
I heard something about spice orgies, and I'm
the underlying sexual meanings of the story.
We'll never get that in a PG-13 film. But
someone will have to write something. I'm sure someone will write something.
Yeah. If there were 2 weak links in the cast, I would probably, and it's not their performance as much as I just like recognize them all the time, was Jason Momoa, just playing Jason Momoa again, like, hey bro, how's it going? Yeah, I'm your love. But I get it. He's the likable uncle. He's fun to be around. I get that, but still, like, couldn't you got someone other than Aqua Bro?
Also, I thought Duke Leto was not that great. I thought it was okay, but not that great.
Yeah, he was okay. I mean, Oscar Isaac's been on so many sets that, I have to say though, Stellan Skarsgård, they made him work.
He was good.
I was like, shouldn't they cast a fat actor? But then I'm like, wouldn't that be fat shaming? I mean, I can do that now. I lost 65 pounds.
That's what the character is. It's not fat shaming. It's just a weird story from way back when.
He was I think he was punished with gluttony or something like that, and he raped like one of the people in Atreides or something like that, if I'm correct.
I don't recall. But
I read it wrong then. And
he's definitely the bad guy. But he did. But they brought him to life really well, I thought.
Yeah, and he was sort of a callback to Colonel Kurtz from Apocalypse Now. He's doing the thing where he's rubbing his head and he's going like this. Although they put that on everyone, but like immediately, like I just saw images of Marlon Brando, not just because of the weight thing, but because of how he was carrying himself and how they were framing him. I'm like, oh, that's Colonel Kurtz. That's
well, those scenes in particular were making me think that if we were to hand keys to a Star Wars film to this guy, he would knock it out of the park. Like, absolutely. I honestly don't know what happened with those last 3, that fell out of Disney's pooper. But if they gave it to somebody that was competent and they, told a solid story with the style that this guy has, holy cannoli.
I think Denis Villeneuve would be too serious for Star Wars. Star Wars I see as like action comedy. I mean, based on the first three movies.
Except for Empire. Yeah.
Empire is dark. Also,
Still has some
The
jokes.
Mandalorian can be a little bit dark. But maybe a different series. Yeah, it
Make
could be
something on
interesting.
Darth Maul.
Maybe the stories of Darth Vader.
Didn't we explore him enough?
No. In between the Luke Skywalker stories.
Yeah, like when he just spends 20 years of regrets.
No. Him going off and conquering the universe for the Emperor. That kind of a dark story. I think Villeneuve could do well.
That would work. Put that down, Hollywood.
Yeah.
But no, him and and one thing was like when he kept having the dreams about, I don't know Zendaya's character's name, but I'm just like, that's Zendaya. I couldn't get that out of my head. Yeah.
You know who would work really well for Dune for the remake 5 years from now would be Guillermo del Toro, because he goes into symbolic imagery.
Oh man.
And mystical feelings really well. That's what's missing from Denis Villeneuve's movie, and that's what we got a shade of from Lynch's movie, but in Lynch's own weird way. But imagine a Dune done by Guillermo del Toro, who really will push up the symbolism, the imagery, the mythology that's in the story.
Let him get his hands on the Bene Gesserit.
That's right.
Something with the magic, something. Oh my goodness, the darkness. That's
and the dreams, and the
call.
1,000-year breeding program, the sandworm, also the religion of the Fremen. That stuff is really not explored in the movies yet.
No, not yet.
So we vote for Guillermo del Toro for the next Dune director.
I'll second that.
Yeah. So I think I've kind of said everything I wanted to about this movie. That, and I really need to go to the bathroom. And so I mean, I probably shouldn't leave that in the show, but I'm going to because I'm professional.
Your show.
Yeah, exactly, man. This is my gig, baby. But
John,
guys,
I'll see you in Chicago. I hope to play Facets with the new movie.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
That'd be great.
My previous movie played at Facets. Werewolf Ninja Philosopher.
Can we ride a sandworm together?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, naked preferably.
No, yeah. That's some HDC, huge dick energy. So guys, thank you so much. Denis Villeneuve's Dune, I think it's 3 recommendations, and it could definitely use a little more heart, but I think we'll get there.
More magic.
Yeah, a little more magic. Guys, thank you so much for coming on. Check out Sujewa Ekanayake from the Secret Society of Slow Romance.
Or Slow Romance.
Yeah, for slow romance. Jesus Christ, and I'm reading it right there and I screwed it up. It's romantic. And check out Cinema Obscura on Can TV. And of course, if you want to check out all my stuff, please go to ypareviews.com. Let the money flow and have the sequels come in.
Long live the fighters.
Yeah. All right, that was great, guys.
All right,
thank you
so
much.
Nice
to meet you.
I have to
Good to meet you too.